Tyler Morris was used to taking care of himself from an early age. Therefore, after graduating from university, he immediately got a job. He grew up in a poor family and was the eldest of 3 children. Tyler's father died in a car accident, and his mother had to work 16 hours a day in order to provide for her family. Amanda Morris didn't have a college diploma or any specific skills, so the only job she could get was the position of a cleaning lady in a roadside motel. Understanding how hard his mother had to work, Tyler tried his best to help her around the house. Hurrying home from school, the first thing the boy did was help his younger siblings with their homework, and only then did he start doing his own. After graduating from school, the determined young man went to college. He dreamed of eventually getting a job in IT. From the first days of college, Tyler proved himself to be a talented student who soon became the star of his year. Having gotten his diploma, the young specialist got a job as an intern in a trading company, which had many computers in its office. Since Tyler never had much money, he usually went out to get lunch at a takeout kiosk located within walking distance from his place of work. Most of the time, the young specialist got a burger and a Diet Coke. In a few days, the vendor got used to Tyler and started preparing his usual order as soon as he saw the young man coming. "Thank you, sir. You have the most delicious burgers on Main Street," the young man said, paying for his lunch. The vendor smiled gratefully and wished the young programmer a good day. Time passed, and in just 1 month, Tyler Morris finished his internship and got a permanent position with the company. One day, coming to get his usual lunch at the kiosk, Tyler saw a homeless man sitting a little further away. To make himself more comfortable, the homeless man put several cardboard sheets on the ground and sat on top of them. The homeless man didn't look a day over 40, while his graying temples hinted at the fact that his life hadn't been easy. Unlike most beggars who seem to have nothing left to lose in life, this homeless man didn't bother the passersby. He simply sat by the kiosk, never openly begging for money. Lots of people gave him change, and the man never had the audacity to ask for more. Looking into the homeless man's eyes, Tyler saw deep sadness in them, which neither his appearance nor the stubble on his face could hide. Reaching into his pocket, the young man took out $1 in change and put it into the box, which stood at the feet of the homeless man. "Thank you, sir. God bless you. This is a huge help for me," the beggar said in an emphatically respectful tone. And that was despite the fact that Tyler was a good 10 years younger than him. "Get yourself a cup of coffee or a muffin. Unfortunately, I can't give you more. But it's still better than nothing," Tyler replied with the touch of embarrassment. The vendor nodded approvingly at the young programmer and gave him a thumbs up. Returning to the office, Tyler caught himself thinking that he liked this homeless man, who must have ended up on the street due to some unfortunate circumstances in his life. The next day, the young programmer saw the homeless man by the kiosk again. He immediately recognized Tyler and greeted him with a wave of his hand. The man took $1 out of his pocket and gave it to the beggar. Of course, Tyler knew that given this situation, he actually needed to save every single cent. But on the other hand, the young man felt sorry for the homeless man, whose life must have been so hard that he ended up on the street. While buying his burger from the kiosk, Tyler asked about the homeless man sitting nearby. "Oh, this is Robert. He came to our neighborhood about a month ago. Rumor has it that his life used to be completely different," the vendor said, gesticulating emotionally. Tyler sighed sadly and sat down on a bench to eat his burger. Meanwhile, the homeless man brought a cup of coffee and, inhaling its tart aroma, took a small sip. Glancing at Tyler, the man smiled and winked at him. The young programmer was relieved to see that even given his situation, the homeless man didn't lose heart and remained optimistic about his future. Tyler and Robert kept seeing each other by the kiosk for about 2 months, after which the homeless man disappeared as suddenly as he appeared. The young programmer tried to find out what happened to Robert, but it was nearly impossible to do. No one knew exactly where Robert had disappeared to and where to even start looking for him. Tyler asked everywhere he could, but he never got any leads. The homeless man seemed to have vanished into thin air. Looking for Robert in the crowd of passersby, the young programmer experienced inexplicable anxiety over the homeless man's fate. What if something happened to him? The young man thought sadly. Time passed quickly. Days turned into weeks, which turned into months. A year passed, and then 2 and 3. It's been a long time since Tyler last thought about the homeless man named Robert. He gradually moved up the corporate ladder, working hard to achieve everything that he'd been dreaming of. However, his dreams might have remained just that forever if it weren't for one event that turned his life upside down. It all started with the fact that somehow the trading company where Tyler worked got a mole, which was causing it significant harm since he was passing confidential information to the company's competitors. Identifying the mole seemed impossible. The company's security was desperately trying to figure out who had betrayed their team and was working for their competition. Eventually, the situation in the office escalated to the point when no one could trust anyone anymore. It seemed that there was no way out, since technically any one of the company employees could be the double agent. Despite the fact that Tyler had repeatedly gotten offers from other companies, and with significant pay raise too, he remained loyal to his company. The man didn't believe that earning more money would make him happier, and highly appreciated the trust placed in him by his superiors. One day, while leaving the office in the midst of the witch hunt, Tyler was stopped by security. Per their request, Tyler emptied his pockets and let his personal belongings be examined. A small memory stick with information on it was found among his things. "So, you're the one who's been working for the competition. I've never would have thought," said the head of security with regret. "No, that's not true. Someone framed me." Tyler desperately tried to justify himself, but no one believed him. The look on the face of the head of security radiated undisguised hatred, and there was simply no one to help Tyler. Tyler got fired right away, and thus he became unemployed. Not knowing what to do next, Tyler fell into depression, which he didn't know how to get out of. The young specialist couldn't believe that someone would be so awful as to set him up so cruelly. About a week had passed before Tyler got a call from the head of the department, asking him to urgently come to the office. The man's initial instinct was to refuse, but then he thought about the possible consequences and decided to come to the office after all. Imagine Tyler's surprise when the office staff greeted him with pleasant smiles on their faces. "Forgive us, Tyler. There was a mistake. We found the real mole. And now the new director of the company wants to talk to you," the head of the sales department said, shaking hands with the young man. Tyler shrugged and stepped cautiously into the director's office. A man of about 45 years was sitting at the table. His face seemed very familiar to the young programmer. Taking a closer look, Tyler gasped and clutched his head. "Robert? Is that really you? How long has it been since we last saw each other?" Robert Brooks smiled, straightened his tie, and replied, "Yes, Tyler, it's really me. To be honest, I didn't expect to see you here. I was appointed to this position a few days ago. When I saw that you had just been fired, I felt that something was off. After getting all the details of the incident, I realized that you were framed. The mole turned out to be the head of security. He slipped the memory stick into your pocket." Tyler's surprise knew no bounds. He looked at Robert and couldn't believe his eyes. Sitting in front of him wasn't a homeless man, but a successful businessman who was clearly a very confident and strong-willed man. As it turned out a little later, 7 years ago, Robert got into a difficult life situation, which was very hard to get out of. Divorcing his wife, getting betrayed by his business partners, and getting into a series of unsuccessful deals afterwards. All of it was too much for the unfortunate businessman, so he ended up drinking himself into oblivion. Robert didn't even realize when he lost everything he had and ended up on the street. Every day, the former businessman sank lower and lower and didn't even hope that he could ever get his former life back. But then Robert met Tyler, who was so kind and compassionate and willing to help that it gave Robert hope for a better future. Having decided to get his old life back, Robert turned to his former colleagues, who helped him get a chance to start a new life. It's worth noting that Robert made the most out of that opportunity, and a couple of years later, he regained his position on the financial Olympus of the city. And now, having become the director of the company, he decided to repay Tyler for being so kind to him once. To do that, he didn't reinstate the man in his position, but actually appointed him the head of the sales department with a salary that turned out to be twice the amount he used to earn before he got fired. Robert Brooks knew that a person who remained kind and compassionate, even when their own life was rather tough, would certainly succeed at any job. Tyler lived up to the trust placed in him, and thanks to his dedication, the company's sales almost tripled. As for Tyler and Robert's relationship, they remained good friends, always ready to come to each other's aid. Well, the owners of the company can only rejoice at such a wonderful team, which brings success not only to him, but to all of the employees of the company.